Hello and welcome to the channel. My name's Tim and I co-founded a fish farm hub here in Uganda, Rukungiri. We've just been on a long bus journey. It was about 8 hours in the end to get here from Kampala, and I thought today what I'd like to do is just show you some of the improvements at Pauson's place, and it's exciting. So in that room at the end over there is the office, new office. I think last time we just opened it up, but it's exciting because we're about to have a team meeting of all of us, which is very exciting. Because I'm like, I look around, I'm like, oh, lots of new faces, which is great, and there's an added sort of I can't say that, dynamism. I can't say that word. There's lots of extra energy in the room, which is fantastic. So, but yeah, I love it. It's great to have the team all together and just, think about the future of the company and all the things that we're doing, and to see people's passion. It was nice to be able to celebrate together some of the achievements that we've managed to do since I was here last May. So yeah, I'm really pleased to be able to have a team meeting. I kept it fairly short. There's two languages going on. There's English, which I can do, and then I can't do in Ruchiga. But yeah, it was good. Let me show you some of the other improvements that are happening, but the office is one. So the big improvement, of course, is just we had so much BSF being produced. And I'll just show you this quickly because you've not seen this, but all these bays were full. You can see the pre-pupa climbing up, and then look at the number of maggots that we've got. This bale hasn't been turned yet. It's the first thing, or the pre-pupa. And then a love cage up here. So, being organised, getting everything sorted that we need, getting the office, getting the staff, getting these bays all full of substrate. This is the other improvement. So just to give you the bearings, we're in the office, and then we've just got this here, which is just a little rack. It just organises the BSF a bit. Got the hatchlings right here, and they actually changed it a bit, so they're actually using this toilet paper, which is very thin and not very good, and they put the eggs on top, and then the hatchlings burrow through. Let's see if we can see some. I saw yesterday, you can see them moving around in there if you look closely. So this rack, there we go, the hatchlings are here. This rack is just helped to organise. The biggest improvement is the volume of BSF we've had in the last month or so. We were pulling a huge amount, and over 10 kilos. Mubarak, who's one of the new starters, is helping the BSF. He's got some mushrooms going on, and then I'll show you some other improvements down there. And then the other improvement mentioning is we've put 2 love cages, they're called, inside of the polytunnel. Now the reason is for that, just concentrating the flies into one area has improved the mating significantly, because it just allows them to, they're not very good flyers, like here's one, but they're not very good flyers, so you're encouraging them to mate, and then just a bottle suspended with water that drips through the lid, just to keep it a bit damp in here. It's also them to drink, so they'll come up and they'll, wonder if we'll see one, but you'll see the flies sometimes, they'll drink the drops. And then this is how successful we were. Like we had too many maggots to store, so these containers are all just full of maggots. And actually, look at this one. And then we'll use these maggots to feed our fish. So that's another big improvement. And this is sort of the large of the big improvements I wanted to show quickly, which is our 3-wheeler. It's just parked up here at the moment, and this has made all the world of a difference to us, because we can put, you can see it's been used. So we put all the substrate in here, can move fish around. That's Pauson's bike. So it's really very good. So thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you can see some of the big improvements we've made. We're very pleased. And me and Pauson, we will see you on the next video. So yeah. Bye from us. Hello, my name is Tim. I've co-founded a fish farm hub here in Rukungiri, Uganda. And I thought today we would go through and look at hatching and collecting of pupa for maggots. So we run our BSF, our black soldier fly facility here in Uganda, to feed our fish. and there's a life cycle, of course, like any animal, and we need to understand how we can continue to produce BSF. So let me give you the life cycle breakdowns. So this is the life cycle of the black soldier fly. You can start off, so let's start for the adult, then you get, they lay some eggs, then you get the larvae, then you get the pre-pupal stage where they're turning into the fly, and then the pupal when they're turning into flies. This is when we sort of harvest them, or around here really, and then when they're maggots, they're very, very good sources of protein, and that's what we're looking for to feed our fish, because protein is very expensive, and we can produce black soldier flies which grow on waste, market waste and things like that very cheaply. Here's another diagram of the same thing, and the fly and the eggs, and then the different stages that they go through to get to that. So the question today is, how do we collect these ones, the pupils, pupae, to get to the flies so we can carry on the egg production? Because if we harvest too many maggots, of course you don't get enough of the pupa stage happening, so you can't start your next generation. So the first thing we do is have these bays which the maggots feed in, and we would harvest the maggots from this. Let me just lift this one up. You can see some maggots down there, and then we have this slope which collects the pupa. So let me show you that. So these are why we use these concrete trays. You can see this is a pupa, and can you see it's very slowly climbing up. So it's a pre-pupa because it's moving, and then it's going to turn into a pupa. Basically what it's doing is it's looking for somewhere dry out of the moist substrate down there, where it can turn into a fly. So I've lost you. There we go. So we use this natural behaviour to harvest the pupa, and you can see that the rest of them that I've made it down here. And then this is this bay here. We don't have any. We do have some actually. We do have some pupa that need to be collected. I can't see any on the slope. I don't know if you can hear them. Let me put you closer. But this is going to be turned in a moment. I can hear them audibly. It's a bit damp. There's a lot of maggots in here, and they're going to turn into pupa, and then this is their behaviour climbing up. So that's why we have the slope, because they self-harvest. Typically, if you were running a BSF production facility, they actually do often in these sort of, can't see one, but like a plastic tray. Oh, here goes one up here, and that sort of basin, or a more square one. But then you have to harvest the pupa yourselves because there's no way for them to climb. But this way, with the slope, they can climb up and you can self-harvest, and it makes things a lot easier. So that's why we use that innovation. So another common technique for collecting pre-pupa is to use a basin. So you might have, maybe this is a round one, you might have a square one, or there's other ones I've seen. Anyway, some container where you've collected them, and the maggots are happy in there. You can see, I'll just turn this over and you'll see there should be lots of them. Now these are quite small, but we've run out of space because we've had so many. So you could just wait in, sieve through and collect some pre-pupa. Sometimes people do it by hand, which is very time consuming, or you could just leave them, and eventually you'd get all of these to turn into pre-pupa, and then they would hatch eventually into flies. But there's not much separation here. Another way you can do it, I'll just get my trusty trowel. If I come over here, is this technique. So here is just a big bucket, maggots inside. Let's see if we can find some. We might not, because I think a lot of these have already hatched or have turned into, you can see that a lot of these, see the dormant pupa in here. Let me zoom in a bit. So this looks like they're here already, but in here you can see we have what we call pre-pupa, because they're still moving. And what's happened is the maggots have climbed looking for somewhere. They have this behaviour looking for somewhere dry to lay their eggs and to sort of crystallise and then turn into flies. So they'll climb up, they'll come up to the top. This is the highest point in the bucket, and then they fall down and you can collect them in there. So that's another way of doing it. But ultimately what you're trying to do is, I'll just show you, is collect the pupa, and then that once they're dormant, they just sit and they don't do anything. They just stay. They're turning into flies for about 7 days or so, and then eventually they'll hatch up, and you can see the flies on the inside of this love cage, and then they will lay their eggs. And there's different ways of collecting eggs, but this is our technique at the moment. Collect the eggs. You hatch out the eggs, then you start the process again. So those are a couple of ways that you can start to harvest your pre-pupa. I hope that was helpful for you. Maybe there's a few things to think about, but essentially what you're trying to do is mimic the natural behaviour that they've got, which is climbing up. That I think is the best way, because they self-harvest. It's just so easy, and then you can sort out your maggots later. Hi and welcome to the channel. My name's Tim. I co-founded a fish farm hub here in Uganda, and I'm on the farm right now. And in this video I wanted to talk a little bit about, this is one of the big improvements that's happened in the last few months, and I didn't mention it in the couple of videos ago. Go and check that out if you want to watch how some of the big steps we've made. But I'll talk about it now because it's like a big step, but it's not quite happened yet. So that's why. So this is in these happers, and I'll just flip you around so you can see. These happers have our fingerlings, and these are the F1 generation. So that tank there, I'll zoom that in. About 18 months ago we went to Lake Choga, which is about a 12-hour drive for us, and that was full of water. We went to the natural lake and we collected a bunch of tilapia, males and females, and because we wanted to start our own hatchery. So they are currently, so that's F0, we call them, the generation. They're currently in this pond and they're breeding, and the challenge is of course that we had to treat them. So you transported them, there's a lot of fish were transported, and then we treated them for parasites, and it's been a few years now. So basically the number of females that we've got is reduced. We've got 12 females left, which isn't very many, so you can't get many fingerlings. So, and they're getting older as well, so they'll die off. So eventually we want the F1. So F1 has started producing, which is fantastic. So we started breeding them. Last month we got the fingerlings. They were in this pond, sorry, the males and the females. Bred them, collected their fry, as it's called, they're little tiny fish. And then we put them into these happers, these little nets inside the ponds. Keeps them safer, they're easier to feed because we feed them a protein powder. And then we wait for them to grow up into fingerlings, so they are appropriately called fingerlings because they're about that sort of size. And then the fingerlings are in here. Now we did have a bit of the reason it's not been a total success yet is it was a bit of a disaster, and it rained very heavily one day and the water rose above the levels of the happers, so we lost, that's why that happers over there. So we actually lost, we had about 2,000 we think, and we lost most of those fingerlings, which is a real shame because it was our first generation. But anyway, we're going to try again. So whilst when you breed the generation, so F1, we're in that pond breeding, you then take them out and you rest them for a month. So they're currently resting in some happers over there just to sort of recharge. Whilst they were resting, we stuck in one last time the F0 generation. So that's the generation that's been around, and so this is what's been drained so far, and I'll just show you what that looks like. So this pond is drained because water's still trickling out, and what you get left behind is, you can see the nests. Can you see that? That is a nest. I bet you didn't realise that fish could make nests, or maybe you did. So the way that the bigger the nest, the bigger the male that's made it. They scoop it out, and then the female will come along, select who she wants to mate with. She'll lay the eggs in the nest, then the male swims over it and deposits his milt, or his sperm, I guess would be. It's not sperm, it's called milt in fish, and that fertilizes the eggs. Then the female comes in, scoops up the eggs in her mouth, and keeps them safe in her mouth for a few weeks until they start hatching out. And even then, when they're fried, the little she'll keep them in her mouth for as long as she can, just to keep them safe. So we're currently draining water. You can see it's coming out there. So there it is. It goes down here. We're draining the water so that we can easily harvest the fingerlings, because eventually what happens is the female, they get too big, the female will let go of the eggs, and then we can scoop them up. That is a nest. I bet you didn't realise that fish could make nests, or maybe you did. So the way that the bigger the nest, the bigger the male that's made it. They scoop it out, and then the female will come along, select who she wants to mate with. She'll lay the eggs in the nest, then the male swims over it and deposits his milt, or his sperm, I guess would be. It's not sperm, it's called milt in fish, and that fertilises the eggs. Then the female comes in, scoops up the eggs in her mouth, and keeps them safe in her mouth for a few weeks until they start hatching out. And even then, when they're fried, the little she'll keep them in her mouth for as long as she can, just to keep them safe. So we're currently draining water. You can see it's coming out there. I need to get into this pond and collect what the fry and the fingerlings that we have in there. So I'm going to go and get changed, put some shorts on, and then jump in so I can have a look at it. This is. I thought I'd zoom in a bit and show you a nest. So you can see it's just a round nest, just a depression in the mud. There's a drain point. That's just to get rid of any fish that was in there, or any fingerlings that could be in there. You can sort of, and it's quite hard on underfoot. This is all. You can see how much I sink, but in that there's no sinking. It's literally just hard packed clay because it's been scooped out, and then the male will swim around and defend it from all attackers, as men tend to do. And then what else can I show you in here? So yeah, so this layer of sediment at the bottom, you've got some snails. This sort of mud is sort of deposit. So eventually, you basically want the sort of hard soil underneath, because this mud it's not doing the fish any good. But it's sort of just, sediment that comes in, wasted feed. There's another nest I've just stood on here, and I can tell because it's a round object and solid underfoot. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the sediment basically is actually quite fertile. So you can use this, scoop it out and use it for something else. But for us, we'll probably just pile it up every now and again. You might want to treat it for lime if you've got too acidic in your soil, and then you start again. But you see the water's mostly gone now. There's still a bit draining in. You see the concrete has come up, and this is how you harvest your fry in this particular method. And then we just go and count them in a moment. You can see behind us the pond. There was a part 2 to this, part 1 and part 2. So this is part 2. I'm about to get in and go and have a look at the fingerlings that we're getting. Before I do, you can see the footprints and then the nests, and basically we have to go in, check the nests for fish, make sure the fish aren't in there dying, and then move them down to the harvesting basin where Campurira is. So I'll get in and show you what's going on down there. This is the business end of the pond. So this is the harvesting basin. You can see if I stand up, there's a concrete under just the lowest part of the pond, and all the watercourse drains down, and then you can get your brood stock out and get your fingerlings very easily. And then you can see how the water just drains. We've checked that each little nest to make sure there's no fish in there. So we're just about to start the process, but we're not feeling too hopeful. Remember, in here we've got the F0 generation, and we only had 12 females and 6 males. You have a different ratio for males because the females are the ones that are producing the sort of the limiting factor in a sense. So yeah, right. So let me get in and help Megara and well, not help. I'm just going to stand and watch Megara and Titus. They know what they're doing, and I don't. You can see here, just collecting them. See them coming in? Not very many. And then there's obviously a load of other aquatic animals on the side there. But what we're after is the ones that are jumping, the fingerlings. You can see they're coming out. Can you see? another one here. You'll notice, I think, straight away that there's a difference in size. So you can basically, and there's another one here, like, two next to each other. This is a tiddly little fish. That's probably only what, I don't know, maybe 10 centimetres across, if that, 15. This is much bigger. This is, I don't know, 20, 30, something like that. So the size of the nest depends on the size of the male that's produced it. And then the bigger the male, the more attractive that is to the female. So you're more likely to breed there, so you get your better fish. So you want big nests really. That means that you've got bigger fish breeding. And then females produce more eggs the bigger they get. They'll never stop growing until they eventually die. So big females, more eggs, which is obviously what we want.
From the eggs, then they raise those ones.
Sam was just telling me that the tiniest ones that you can see on the screen, those are the ones we really want, because they're easier to sex reverse, so treating them to turn them into males, because our customers want male fish because they grow faster. We want to sell them male fish because then the problem is if you get male and female, they start breeding together in a pond. That impacts on how much biomass you can get in there. So yeah, that's good. So we're now taking the brood stock out because you can see them swimming in the background. Starting to get tired. You can see the sizes are much bigger. Very good. Female, because they're smaller. And this is these big males. You can see the size of this.
See, it is bringing out the
Milt. Very good. That's the milk coming out, or sperm, but we call it milk. It's coming out. Very good. Thank you, Sam. So these are just some insects that are coming in. So we just scoop. This is the fingerlings have been transferred to this bucket, and Sam's just going to go through and sort of estimate essentially what we've got. We need to be quick because this is causing them stress. You can see some there that, yeah, very good. And Sam is saying is around about a gram, we reckon, from eyeballing them.
They could be close to, but they are over. They should be like over 0.5.
Over 0.5, yeah.
Because their size, when you see them, very big. We normally get them when I've seen some small ones. At the time of harvest, they are always of this size of these insects.
So we take those insects out and then we'll put them into this basin in a moment. Now we just walk them the short distance to the happer, which is waiting for them. So we just see how we get on. Okay, I'll just put them in and they'll swim free. So you want to be a bit careful that when you're introducing them, so that they're not getting shocked. Yeah, not bad. So, thanks very much for watching. I hope you'll have enjoyed that video, and it just gives you an idea of what's involved with setting up a hatchery, a small hatchery, and sort of the steps you need to take when you're collecting fingerlings and, well, not frass, get my words mixed up, fingerlings and fry. So, thank you very much. We will see you in the next video. Please, if you want to be a part of this, feel free to reach out, but you can do your small part if you want to be a part of this by just hitting like, subscribe, etc. Thank you very much. Just in case you haven't seen them before, but these are the eggs we're collecting. This is just the harvesting basin is now empty, taking all the brood stock back, and we are finished for the day. Hi there, my name's Tim, I co-founded the Fish Farm Hub. Just today we're on the farm just looking at some feeding. So, we grow maggots, and we're not maggot farmers, well, we are maggot farmers, but really the aim is to feed fish. So you can see Samuel is feeding a fish. Oh, look at this, this is some good feeding response. Yeah, and the water, you can see the water is very green, which is perfect. It's like there's natural plants growing in here, which means the fish are being fed, they're eating themselves, but they're also eating these maggots, and you can see how many they just come up How many kilos will you put in this one?
At the moment, I will, because this brought already, which is more than even enough, 11.5. We are going to have this one. We are going to put 4 kilos, and then in the other one we have to put 2. The other one we have to put like 1.5. Then the next ones we can keep.
Yeah.
So this time round now we are going to put only like 2.
Okay.
Because they should be taking 4.
And then later on this evening.
Later on, yes.
Sure. Yeah. So you can see all the fish coming up and eating, which is great. Yeah, I can see them there. It's hard. It's always hard, I think, on camera to see them. But yeah, that's pretty good. And look at this. It's very good. Telling me that we've got 12.5 kilos here. Is that
These
correct?
are
11 and a half, yeah. And then when he fills up this tub, he's meant pre-weighed it, and it's roughly you get around
half
a kilo.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll feed it into this pond. This is Pond Malachi, thank you. Should know that because that's the name of my kid. Yeah. We'll start to see them come up. There's less fish in here. We think around 500.
Time will come may not be the actual time we normally come. So their response now may not be that good. But you can see some have already started taking up the maggots. Yes.
So those bubbles in the water is when they've come up from below and they sort of grab the maggots.
And you can see clearly they are floating. They've not gone down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me zoom in, see if you can see them. Very good. Sam's just fed these fish. This pond's slightly less green. It's still pretty green, which is good. And then you can see like there's a red layer. That's just a plant that grows. There's no problem with it. And we're going to just feed these happers. So currently, this is we're feeding our fish with a lot of BSF, which is great because we've never had so many. So massive success. We did a video which was quite popular on YouTube, about 7 kilos a day. This is 11.5, so we've smashed that, and we're carrying on improving and getting more. And then in these happers we have our F1 generation. Some of them, not all of them. So in these two, these are unsorted bigger fish, and then this one we've got mostly females from the breeding. There's a few males probably in there as well because you're trying to do it quickly, so you're not handling every fish so they don't die. But eventually, this is the challenges that we're facing as a business. It's not the perfect way we want it. You wouldn't have your brood stock in happers, but we don't have any space to put them. So there's a video on the channel about our plans to expand the hatchery, and I'm very pleased to say that has happened. So we do actually have a hatchery expansion plan now. We've got the lands secured, and we need to build the hatchery. So that's coming. BSF is expanding because it's doing well. So lots of new things, and it was very good actually talking to Samiri or Sam, because he shares the vision, I think, of this project, and it's nice to be able to see success and continue to develop that and to continue to grow it. So yeah, it's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds. This pond is also very green, you can see, which is great. Great shot of Sam feeding the fish. So thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. It's great to see the progress that we're making. I hope you'll join us on the next video. Do hit that like button, do subscribe. That really helps us as a channel. And we are close to hitting some big YouTube, well, maybe not so big YouTube milestones, but for us it feels impressive. So your support, if you like what we're doing and want to help us, that's the best way. It's just to click like, subscribe, add a comment. All of that helps us, and we can continue to showcase the impact that we're having and sort of carry on doing the good stuff that we're doing. So thanks very much, and see you in the next video. Hello, welcome to our channel. My name's Tim, I co-founded a fish farm hub here in Uganda. A little while back we posted a video on our channel which went quite popular, which was 7 kilograms even possible? And the answer to that is absolutely. It's been a few months, but have a look at this. So this is the result of all the hard work that Mubarak and Samuel and Andrew have put in, and Kampuri are collecting the waste. You can see just how many maggots we have. And we've got a tremendous amount. Basically 7 kilos, we've smashed through that. The highest that we got so far is 22.5 kilos in one day, and the numbers are just going up. So certainly it's possible to get that many kilos per day, and it's the consistency that we're really after, and so that's what we're smoothing out at the moment. But we've got so many maggots, we've got a problem. So I'm going to show you that as we go into the polytunnel. You'll see all of the maggots that are lying around. They were escaping from the top. Okay. We've got too many maggots, which is good problem to have. So Mubarak and Andrew are collecting some of the maggots for the farm, so we're going to send these over and we'll feed them into the ponds. If you look a couple of videos back, you would have seen that. We're basically feeding the maggots to the fish because they're high in protein, and then sometimes when you send them in you get some of the frass, which is this organic matter here, this stuff, but actually this is actually good because it fertilises our ponds, which we're happy with, which is what you're trying to do with ponds, and then the fish are getting a good high protein diet. So we've got a good problem, which is basically we've too many fish, too many maggots, but that's perfect because that's where you want, and it's because they're so prolific that you get a lot of maggots. So normally, things like this we wouldn't encourage, because you don't want just substrate lying around, but because we had so many hatchlings, we've sort of improvised and put substrate here, and so any excess maggots we've dumped in here, and then we'll just sort of harvest them over time, rather than sort of waste them. And because the flies are in the cage, most of the flies are in the cages, the love cages, it's not so important. You can see here all this water. There's actually some eggs there. Can you see flies aren't the brightest of things, and so sometimes they lay eggs where they shouldn't, so they've gone and laid eggs there, which is okay. We can collect that clutch, and then we'll go and check these in a moment and see how we're doing. So they've just emptied that one out and put the maggots that were on top in this one, because these are sort of mostly sorted.
These ones are blue.
We
are targeting them for the polypupa.
Yes.
Because this is a good size for the polypupa that can give us good fries that can provide enough.
Yeah, because these are quite big.
Nice eggs.
You can see the difference in size between these and these.
Because the smaller the polypupa, then the smaller the number of eggs laid. And this one is of a good size.
Yeah.
So it can be good for us.
So we're going to leave these. So we'll let these turn into pre-pupa, and then we'll turn them into flies, and then of course bigger flies, more eggs essentially, bigger individuals. And these maggots aren't quite so big.
Yeah,
and that's dependent on the waste that you feed. So if you,
this and this. But these ones are already turned into pupa.
Yeah.
So these ones we have to let them turn into pupa so that we can collect them for fries.
Yeah. I'll show you what Mubarak was referring to. So basically these ones here, these are the bigger ones, and then you put this.
So here we are having the polypupa. These ones have already turned to polypupa. As we sort, we try to bring them here.
Okay.
You're seeing them. Some of them are here.
Some of the pupa in
So
here.
this one, the size is somehow bigger compared to the other ones we get from the other side. When you go inside, then I'll show you some of them that are there, but for them they have a small size.
Okay.
Now you find like you have these ones. See these ones?
Yeah.
These ones are of a small size. That means they will give you small egg, a little quantity of eggs compared to these ones which are somehow bigger.
So this is great for catching the trap for catching the tree pupa, because these ones are bigger. We're trying to turn those ones into flies, and then these are going to the farm. And so here, what Mubarak is doing is just taking the top layer where the maggots are, and then he's putting them into that bucket, and then eventually they will all go away from the light. So they go down, and then you take some substrate off. And then you end up with less and less substrate because you're taking the top layer, which is substrate, and the maggots don't want to be there because it's near the light. And then you end up with more concentrating the maggots. And then these are the ones that were in the bottom of that basin, which are inert, so they're not moving around because of oxygen. But what they'll do is they'll put them here, and then by tomorrow these maggots will have moved into this pile, and basically sort of rescuing them in a sense, letting them carry on with their duties. And then it's the same with this pile here. So, you know, in the future we're not going to be having these piles lying around, but I think you can see from this video just the enormous amount of success we've had. Just kilos and kilos of maggots, which is fantastic, and really what we were hoping for in this project, because, you know, if you're trying to feed thousands of fish, you need kilos and kilos of maggots, and so these bays are all full. And so collecting all the maggots from here, and, you know, the few ones that the excess spillover that we have in those trays really allows us to do that. And in here we have more maggots that we're collecting today. You can see how they congregate here, and then that substrate at the top there, we'll just take that off. Mubarak's coming on doing this, so he just scrapes off some of the substrate, removes most of that, and then you end up with, you know, any excess maggots can go back in, that's fine, but you end up with concentration of maggots, and then you can more accurately weigh them. It doesn't need to be massively precise for us because we're feeding them in raw to the fish, so it's very good. Just see this one come in. Yeah. So this is another sign of the success. So this is all the pre-pupa from 2 days. It's 1.5.
This is for 2 days.
2 days. 1.5 from yesterday. And then today is 2.5 kilograms of pupa. And we're talking about the size earlier. You can see the difference here. You have some that are much bigger than others. And what we obviously want is the bigger ones, because the smaller ones are, you don't get as, the flies are smaller, and then the amount of eggs that they can lay is less. So you want the bigger ones. And we think that's to do with the difference in temperature. So it's a bit.
The small ones were due to overloading.
Due to overloading. Okay, so we put too many in.
Not be enough.
Yeah.
Because so far here in this bay, for example, I have collected more than, now it is coming to around the 20. Because this bay and this one, that's where I have collected most of the large fry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they have produced a lot because there were very many in the base. So that's why we are getting these small ones.
So thanks very much for watching this video. It's great that you're with us on this journey. I know a lot of people are quite interested in the BSF. So I think you'll have seen some good progress, and we're now bumping up against new problems, which is, you know, too many maggots. How do we smooth out the production curve? And we've got some ideas for how we do that. So do stay tuned, and you'll see just how we sort of scale up as we go. But I hope that this is inspiring to you as you start your BSF journey. Do stay tuned, hit like, subscribe, so you can follow our progress and hopefully learn from our mistakes, and learn from our successes as well. So thanks very much, and see you in the next video. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name's Tim. I co-founded a fish farm hub here in Uganda. Today we are on a visit to a fish farm, and I thought you might quite enjoy, I'm going to try and do an interview with her and just ask her a few questions, but she's a customer that we've fairly recently got in connection with, and we've bought fish twice from her. We've bought most of her fish, 500 pieces, I looked at the records, and she's very excited, and I think she's planning on expanding. So just want to capture some of her story of how she's got into fish farming, how she's found it, some of the challenges, some of the benefits, and hopefully you'll find it interesting and you'll get to see her point of view. So this is Mauda.
Yes.
Maybe you could explain your background and your profession and where you come from.
I'm a retired principal
Mm-hmm.
of a technical institution, and I specialized in building construction, and I was, and also a teaching. That's how I became a principal.
And now you are a fish farmer.
Now, after retirement, I've resorted to farming.
Yeah.
Mm.
So Mauda was just explaining about her ponds just here. Perhaps could you tell us, Mauda, where you stock these fingerlings? When did you stock them?
With the first pond, I stocked them in August.
In August.
In 2023.
And that was from
23.
Yeah.
2023.
And you got them from who?
From Pauson.
Pauson, yeah. So from Rad, yeah, who's taking the photo. And then I think Humphrey came and harvested some fish.
Yeah, we have so far harvested twice.
Okay.
And yeah, each time we remove around 300.
Okay. So that's 600 total. Yeah, very good. And we noticed behind us, we also have another pond.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to put up another pond so that I increase on my production.
very good. So you're happy with fish farming?
Yeah, because I enjoy the fish myself. Yeah, and my family.
Good. Yeah, yeah. So I would say that Mauda is she's a great example to us because she has the passion that a lot of fish farmers have. And one of the things I enjoy is when, for lots of fish farmers, they will often sell fish, but then they always keep some for their family and for their friends.
I have always fish in stock in my house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when I get visitors, I give them some fish.
Yeah. And that's we like to see that passion, I think, coming through. So I was just explaining to Mauda about feeding, and you know what we're trying to innovate with the BSF maggots. She's very interested. She was explaining. I think you can see that the waters are brown, but it's because of the rain. So yesterday we had hailstones. There was ice coming from the sky, and what that does is all that water comes in.
The water was green.
Yeah. And so she's been fertilising. There's a bucket there, which this gentleman's been putting in, which has got chicken droppings in it and some maize, and that goes into the pond and fertilises it and keeps it green. But yeah, thank you very much, Mauda. It's good to have you on camera.
Thank you for supporting us.
Oh well,
Fingerlings and the rest.
Yeah, we're very pleased for that. No problem. So, oh yeah, this is another supplementary feeding that Mauda's been doing. So tell us about this. What's this that we're adding?
These are potato leaves.
Potato leaves.
And I have gardens around the pond where I get the potato leaves.
Yeah. So this is just another way to, you know, you're eating the potatoes, but you are keeping the leaves.
I give the leaves to the fish and then I eat the roots. So it benefits all of us.
Yeah. So this is another way to supplement, which is great. People use yam leaves and different things. That looks heavy, Pauson. Oh, I have to show this you see the crested crane.
Yeah, that is our national bird.
Yeah.
They normally come here, even around the pond.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. So I hope you've enjoyed that interview with Mauda. She's a great character. She was telling me she was very energised and saying how much she loved the work we're doing, which is great for us to hear, and you know, reassuring, because we have our challenges as a business. You know, things don't always go right, and our number one customer is farmers. So knowing that she's very happy is fantastic. What did she say? I'd like to hear a couple of things off camera. She said, you can't fail. Yeah, once you can be assured a market, you can't fail to expand, which is great, because that's why she's built the second pond. And then the other thing she was saying, a little anecdote of how second time, the first time we paid her, there was I think there was a delay of a week, just because we were sorting some processes out. And the second time we paid her, we paid on the spot, and she said she was walking off, not expecting it, and then suddenly they called her back and she was very excited to get money there and then. And so I think that's a big reason that she's expanding and keen, is because of the market. Like, she can be sure that we are here and we're going to buy fish from her, and that makes all the world of a difference to a farmer who's risking by putting in fish, because there's a cost there, and then feeding, there's a cost there, maintaining, all that sort of stuff. You know that if someone's going to take your fish off you at the end, then you can be good enough to proceed, or happy enough to proceed. So yeah, so anyway, that's I'll give you the outro now, technically, as it's called. So thanks for watching, appreciate all your support. Do please like and subscribe. There's a lot of you that watch these and don't subscribe, which is fine, but it does help us out. So if you haven't clicked the subscribe button, please do. You can turn the notifications off if you really want, but it just helps us, so we know that our channel is growing and that you're engaging and hopefully learning some things from this channel. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Hello and welcome to the channel. I am excited about this trip because we're about to go and see some chickens. These are egg-laying birds, and essentially where we get a lot of our substrate from now as another source is the waste from here. So the chicken manure drops down, they're fed maize and their feed and whatever, that some of that gets chucked down as well, because chickens are messy eaters. And then that waste on the floor is very rich in well, rich in nutrients essentially. Hi goat. And we're using that to feed our BSF, and they're doing remarkably well. So there's quite a large establishment. Oh, I can see it now. So these are the chicken wastes that we would collect. So the thing wrapped up. There's another one here. So this substrate that we're using comes directly from under here. See, this one's been cleaned out. Let's get this one up here. I think this one looks like it's full. You can see, look, the wheelbarrow's full. You can see all this chicken waste. Just droppings, there's some feed in there, some maize. I've just been splashed by some maize. All of that is what we're using in our maggots. Very good. This is the chicken farm that I'm visiting right now. So as I said, it's quite exciting to see where our waste is coming from. And there's Anita, I'm just chatting to, but there's a lot of birds in here. These are egg layers. It's quite a clever system. Maybe not so great for the chickens, although they don't look too distressed, which is always nice to see. But essentially what you do is you just put them in these big rows. You have your water comes in from outside, gets fed through here, and they can take water as they need, and then you feed them with maize or the proper concentrate feed behind there, and then the eggs roll out at the bottom. So I'll show you that. You can see here. There we go. So quite a nice, I mean, and there's trays and trays of eggs everywhere. But you know, we're not into chicken farming. Although these chickens would love the black soldier fly, that's for sure. Although it wouldn't be a good idea to sell them, because you don't want to, if we're using chicken waste to then pass on to the maggots to then come back to the chickens, you've got some, if there's any parasites, then you're going to potentially pass that on. But so this is all the waste, which is full of nutrients and would otherwise just slowly turn into compost, but we're actually using it to feed our BSF. And then those BSF we can feed to fish, and then we get fish and a really good fertilizer in a very quick period of time. So we're sort of, you know, it's called the circular economy. You're basically utilising your waste streams. So any waste is sort of used as much as possible, and that's what we're trying to do in our system. So this is only one of the enclosures that they have. So I've just come outside, it's quite noisy in there. I think they're building another enclosure here, and there's one down there which they're making the cages, and they're going to probably turn that into a chicken enclosure. But I think they said they had about 10,000 birds, or getting close to that, and they're looking to expand to 15 in the coming time. So yeah, this is quite good. It's good to see some got sprayed on the way in, which is really good for zoonotic diseases and just disease spread in general. You want to sort of keep everything sterile. So they sprayed our boots to make sure you're not bringing anything into the farm. Yeah, it's an interesting place. Let me show you some other things that are going on. So look at this. So Pauson's quite nervous because it's a pretty steep drop. We're standing here, and this is a wobbly thing I'm holding on to. But I remember that I came here in 2017, and he had some ponds. You can see a couple there. There's a couple there, and these tanks, I'm told, are for RAS, or recirculating aquaculture systems for tilapia. Now, I'm not convinced particularly of RAS as a system, especially for tilapia. I think it's trying to get the concentrations right, as in like the number of fish you can get in a metre squared isn't always that easy. And I think you need to aerate as there's a high capital cost. Got to run power and stuff like that. But I know it can work in some contexts. So Andrew, the owner, is trying that out. So it's good to see his innovation. And then he's got these ponds here, which I don't think he's got fish in at the moment. And then he's got some bigger ponds here where he wants to put his brood stock. So he's clearly very entrepreneurial and trying lots of things. And I can quite believe it when I saw these tanks, because we are very far away from Kampala, where you get there are people who've got RAS systems. I know of a few companies that have tried them in the East Africa region, but they tend to typically be not in the middle of nowhere like here. So it's quite interesting to see that. And then the other thing here is an ice truck. So this machine, or a truck, it's a refrigeration machine, and it's designed, I think, to transport. Well, it is designed to transport perishable goods. But again, it's about volumes, right? Like, he's got like so many eggs coming out. So he's very much thinking large scale, and with the number of tanks, he's very much thinking large scale, and with this, he's thinking large scale. So we are, as a business, like, we would struggle to ever come close to filling this. It would take us a while. So that's why we've never sort of gone down that route. But of course, for him, that's something he's interested in doing, sort of that scaling, sort of large scale. But this is more my scene: ponds and management systems and smallholder farmers and that sort of thing. The larger commercial work that you see is not really what I'm into quite as much, although I have done some work on it, but typically I tend to focus on smallholders. Well, there's Pauson. I think we're going to go down and have a look at the rest of his operation. Come down to the RAS, and you can see here how it works. You've got a pond, so it's a metal tank, then you've got a concrete liner, you've got a pond liner, and then there's a bottom which collects all the waste and things like that, and with the water, it's below the rest of it, so the water will flow down, and then that will come underneath, come into here, and then there should be, if they've done this correctly, pumps. Oh, it's down here. So this is outflow, so if they need to drain it, they'll put it that way. But typically with RAS, what they'll do is they'll recirculate the water. So I would expect to see a pump at the bottom which pumps the water back up into the tanks, and then you need to filter your water. So it may not be a true RAS that they're building here, or maybe they're doing it in here. There's no one around to ask about it, so yeah, this potentially, because this is lower, so I wonder if they're going to use this as the way of this level here is lower than the tanks, so they may well collect the water there, filter it as they need to, and then pump it back. Might be wrong, but that's what I would imagine from a RAS. And then you have aerators. So the challenge with these systems is the fish need a lot of oxygen to breathe, and in a pond we're normally doing 4 per metre squared, 4 fish per metre squared. Now these tanks are probably, I don't know, like, what are they in terms of metres squared, like maybe 100 metres squared, could be, maybe less. because I'm guessing they're about 10,000 litres, and I think if I do my maths right, that's 100. So then that's only 400 fish in a tank, which, you know, you think of a pond, we can get 4,000 in there, no problem in a smallish pond. So I think that's the, anyway, so then they should filter the water. You have oxygen diffusers, they're called, so these like basically pumps oxygen through, so then you can increase the stocking density, how many fish you have, from more than 4 to, you know, up to, well, quite higher up. I was very surprised to hear that well, we don't know exactly, this is a bigger tank, but to do tilapia in here, because I think that's maybe the plan, but catfish can support higher volumes, they don't need as much oxygen to breathe, but if you do tilapia in here, then you do need to sort of, and you need to purify your water because you're getting all the ammonia and the nitrates and the nitrites in there, you need to filter it out. So yeah, anyway, I'm not, I shouldn't say too much about this system because I don't know enough, I haven't asked anyone about it, I'm telling you what I know a bit about RAS. But very interesting. I'm like flabbergasted, I think, to see this here. This one they haven't done this one yet. I'm flabbergasted to see this because we're out in the middle of nowhere. It is getting dark, and I should go. So let me just go and look at that structure over there, and then we'll wrap this up. I've just come down to the tank, the other side. You can see the RAS system over there. Sorry, I shouldn't say RAS system because it is just RAS. You see the RAS over there, and then this is the expansion of the chickens. So yeah, it's an interesting place. I guess from me, it's thanks for watching. Appreciate your support so far. Do please subscribe. We are just delighted that we can, you know, there's so much waste here, chicken waste, that we've got more than enough for our needs, and we can expand quite a bit if we wanted to with the maggots. So that's really good. And I just love it, you know, you're using waste, turning it into something that's very useful in the form of fish protein. So yeah, appreciate your support and watching. Do subscribe, and we will see you on the next video. Today's video is going to be about selling fish and some of the processes that we go through. So I'm going to miss the most important part, which is when we go and harvest the fish. So that's been done yesterday. And the fish have arrived, they've been gutted and scaled, so you're not going to see that. But one of the things that happens here is we need to get ice. So that's that ice, and I'll flip you around so you can see. So this ice machine is the next part of the chain. So you'll see the ice coming down and landing there. And we collect that so we can take it to the farm, keep our fish fresh and ready before we are frying it or processing it in some way for the customer. So we're dipping the fish, which we've been gutted and cleaned. We lay them out to dry as much as possible, try and take the water off, and we put them in the batter, essentially, ready for frying. So the next stage is putting the fish in, and just making, you know, it's hot oil with the mixture here we use cassava flour and some water, and it sticks, and you put it in, deep fry it, and the customers are very happy. We have a range of different sizes here that we'll sell. Then there's the frying, which of course is also important. Just can put it as very good at this by now, and we deep fry. So a lot of customers like the fried fish because oil is very expensive. In fact, it's the price we pay is like, if you look at, we divide up on how much we're spending on things per kilo. So, you know, because we pay farmers a certain amount per kilo, how much does the oil cost per kilo of fish that we fry, etc. This is like half of the cost of buying the fish, the oil and the ingredients. It's expensive, but you can see how it looks, and then it's a question of getting it out and letting it drain in that sieve over there, just to get the worst of it off. and then we'll prepare it for our customers. And once they're drained, they come over here to be salted. You see the salt there, we salt them like that. Thank you, Magara. We've got it, and then we put them here on the tray, so just get them all ready. And Easter we'll make sure they're all sorted, we'll count them, and then we distribute them to people that are going to sell. So we have a range of different selling practices. We have hawkers, so people that will walk around with a bike, on foot, and they'll move them by head, as they might say, or on a bodder, or at a static vendor, or specific customers that say, oh, I'm pre-ordering 3 fish or 2 fish or 5 fish or whatever it is. A range of different sizes and different prices, and that's how we will do that. So we'll put them over here just to, in the shade, keep them nice and ready for when the vendors arrive. That's the ice that we use to sort it, and then it's been packed into that green box with ice. There's people that are wanting fresh fish, and then in that green sack he's got some of the fried fish. So this gentleman will go and deliver to the clients along the way, and pretty soon that's going to be an e-bike, thanks to our project, which we're looking at sort of improving this box so we get a bit more consistent cold. So you've heard about the Radical project, and thanks to those who are supporting us in this. But yeah, so that's it. Final part, just cleaning the buckets that we use, and just sort of generally cleaning up. It's one of the things we are trying to improve on, I think, is our hygiene. I think, I mean, generally speaking, people are fairly happy with how things are produced. Like, we never get any comments from people like this is very hygienic. But I think, you know, as we expand and produce more fish, of course we want to improve all the time. And one of the things I think we'll do is we will improve some of the hygiene practices that we have. There's a few simple wins that we can get, maybe some more equipment, just to make sure everything is clean. I mean, you're deep frying the fish quite a long time, so they're fairly safe. We keep fish on ice and they're served quickly, so we've never had any problems at all with food poisoning or anything like that. And we've sold a lot of fish now, but we just want to keep improving to make sure we don't have any future problems. So yeah, that's pretty much the process. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks very much for subscribing, and I'll try to get some footage in another video at some point of customers eating the fish and all that type of thing, and sort of that part of it. But this small glimpse will give you an insight, I think, into how we sell fish, and the process we go to just to prepare it, sort of the value addition that happens to the fish from when we have it to just before it reaches the customer. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. These are the larvae for the day, which are going across to the farm. So we're just measuring them on these kitchen scales. It's 1.3 kilos. Okay, 1.5. Not bad. And then we flip it over, and of course the ones that we haven't got will come through. There we go. We're coming up to 2 now, which is good. The barracks just doing the record keeping, which is of course an important part. This is just the paper version, and then it gets uploaded onto the computer, but you can see there's a reason it's paper at this stage. So we'll probably try and get a bigger basin, and then what you can do is you standardise, so you just know, well, if we fill that to the top, it's 2 kilos. It becomes quite easy then to weigh them, so you're not having to do that incredibly precisely. That's good. Put them in the sack, and then they'll get transported across. And the question always comes from people is like, what are you doing in these BSF? And I always forget, because not all of you will have watched everything, of course. But the reason we're using maggots is because we are fish farmers, and those maggots have about 50 to 60 to 40% protein. And when you're feeding any animal, but fish, you need a high protein diet, and then they put on weight quite quickly, and then you can harvest them. So we're looking for high protein feed for the fish, but that's expensive. So if you're using commercial pellets, it's just far too expensive to do. So what we're looking for is ways to reduce that cost quite considerably, and then we use these maggots to feed the fish. The fish love them, by the way, because they're moving around, a bit more exciting. Maybe they taste different, I don't know, I've never eaten one. But they really like them, and so they grow quite quickly on the pellets. But for us as farmers, the good thing is the cost. It's much cheaper to do. The question is, what are we feeding these maggots? And this is the sort of stuff. So this is waste, right? It doesn't look very nice. It doesn't smell great. And yesterday, I was at a chicken farm, and the chickens are laying eggs. They're obviously, excreting all their waste. There's a bit of their food. The chickens are quite messy eaters, so when they're scratching, the food's falling down. There's some maize and chicken pellets in here. So we'll use some of this for the maggots, and then this is underneath this bag. You can see this is the food from the household, mostly actually from the market. So it's fruit waste, and we have all these barrels here. So that waste that is just will eventually turn into compost, but it's just dumped somewhere. Especially at the chicken farm, there's a huge area just with waste, and it's just sat there doing nothing. And so we are using that to turn that into food for our fish. So that's why we're using the waste. And so we were just brainstorming, just improve this process slightly. So we were weighing them at the farms, but we decided we're going to start weighing them from here.
4.6.
And we're tearing the scales, so we know that's about 300. So 4.66 minus 300 is about, so it's 4.3 kilos there. And in that sack we have 7, so this becomes 11.3 kilos going today, and we still haven't finished. And we've got all the bays, we've got all the fish in the not at the fish farm, all the maggots in here as well working. So it's great. We did a very popular video which was asking about 7 kilos. That was a challenge we set to the staff. I went to a production site where they were easily doing that, and within a month or two we've shot through that. Like I say, we're taking a fixed amount, so we'll probably take maybe 12-13 kilos today, and then we'll save some more for tomorrow. So we're not trying to harvest the maximum in one day. It's, you sort of staggering it, so what your fish need. It's just a fantastic amount of feed to be able to get into those ponds and those fish. Sure, some of them are quite close to getting to harvest size for us because we sell small fish, but being able to feed them that high protein diet gets them quickly there. The cost is very minimal because we're using that chicken dung, chicken manure. The only cost we've got, because it's waste, is we've got to transport it here on the back of a tuk-tuk, but we can do quite a lot of that. The staff costs of maintaining all the polytunnels and the BSF and all that type of stuff, but that cost is much cheaper than buying lots of pellets. And we can also supply a lot of, the whole point of this is to supply, the reason we've got a polytunnel is because we want to supply 5-day-old, so hatchlings with small little maggots, to farmers who have waste where they are, and then they can feed their fish. So very exciting to see. And we've got new plans for this part, which is currently used for some banana and stuff, sugarcane, which is very nice, but we will have to harvest it fairly soon and start an expansion. And then we're also going to be using our frass, which I haven't talked too much about it. Normally I do. Currently our frass is stored under here, and you can see this is see how black it is? That's because that's fresh, but it's left over. That's where it becomes frass. All the nutrition's gone out, and then we've got sacks of it under here. And it's under here to stop because you get nutrient leaching from the sun. So we are trying to keep that protected, keep the rain off it as much as we can. But obviously this is not ideal, so we're going to build we'll have a structure to store all this. but the potential of this is great. We've had a couple of farmers on quite a low level who've taken some frass and used it for their bananas, matoke, which is often eaten here, and they've seen quite good results using that. Someone else that we know has used it for his avocados, so he's seen some good progress there as well. So we, I think we've been sort of sitting on the frass for a long time, just because our focus is on getting the maggots up and running, and that's taken us a while to get everything right. Hopefully you can learn from our mistakes. But frass is probably one of the next things that we're going to start pushing, and just sort of see how we can go with that. So yeah, so that's some good progress. It's good to see the maggots being collected, and the fish enjoying eating them, as they would say here. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to sign off now, but thank you very much for watching. We appreciate your support. Do like and subscribe, because that does help the channel to grow. We're having sort of a bit of a rise in viewers, but we noticed a lot of you aren't subscribed, so if you could do that, that would really help us to grow the channel. Thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next video. Just a quick correction on the numbers. We just tallied it up again, and we actually are sending 14.4 kilos to the farm. So we've doubled what we were trying to do, the 7 kilos. So this video should be called probably 14.4 kilos, is it possible? Hello and welcome to the channel. My name's Tim, and I co-founded a fish farm hub here in Uganda. Today I thought I would show you a wee bit about our environmental credentials. We have 3 objectives here at RAD. So number 1 is food security, making sure people have access to affordable, nutritious fish, which they do. Number 2, poverty reduction. So basically giving people jobs. That helps us, helping farmers who aren't very well, who it's at the bottom, and then we can pay for their fish, that sort of thing. So those are the 2, and we focus, I think, a lot on those because we're in Uganda, which is a very poor country. There's a severe amount of malnutrition. So those sort of are the more obvious pressing concerns. But the 3rd one is an environmental restorative project, and what we're trying to do is not damage the environment any more than it is, and if anything, put back and help nature with all the challenges that it has. So I thought I would explain a bit how we do that in our project. This, where the ponds are, here and here, all the way along here, it's basically looks a bit like this, sort of scrubby ground. Actually, this is a better example, but essentially it was just used for pasture, and then people were starting to encroach upon the wetland, which is what we didn't want. So what we've done is we've put our ponds right where that poor quality grazing land is, and it stops the further expansion into the wetland, because we're holding water, so we're not taking the water out, because eventually the water will go back out into the wetland. We're just moving it from the stream, goes into our pond, sits there for a bit, and then goes back into the wetland. And then the other thing that we're doing is sort of creating places for species, plants and insects and animals to move through. So I'll show you sort of how we do that. I think this gives you an idea of what we've managed to achieve. So give you the orientation. The ponds are that side. We've just walked down this path, and the water source is here, and there's a pipe that runs through underground, comes through, and then about there it comes out, and there's a channel. And you can see, this is often what happens. So you can see that bit of the wetlands just there. Let me zoom in a bit. So the wetland is just in front of that patch of brown ground just there, and then that's sort of been cultivated and it's just been cleared. I don't know quite what's going to be happening there. And then this bit here, which is sort of natural vegetation, and the wetland will get encroached upon. But where this isn't, we haven't put this fence up here, but down there you'll see sort of a boundary. You can just see some fence posts poking out. There. Can I zoom in on them? I don't think I'm going to be able to zoom in, but essentially that part there in front of the wetland, that's all bushy because we've left it fenced, and so that creates a habitat, and more importantly it protects that wetland because no one can go in there. It's not being encroached upon. They're not planting trees there. It's not being drained over slowly. And then the other thing is the channel, which starts here, flows all the way down, and can you see this sort of layer of vegetation all the way along, and it wraps round and goes through the farm and it ends up in the wetland. So that's actually really good habitat for, there's lots of birds there, different types of insects, lots of different plants. I don't know, I wouldn't mind getting into botany, but I don't have the time at the moment. Anyway, all of those species can thrive, and we've tried to create a bit of a wildlife corridor, it's called. I mean, it's a mini one, but it allows species to jump and around. So you've got your wetland species, and then stuff that's just out of the wetland can survive in these little pockets. Nothing big, mind you, but small creatures, insects, plants, those can all survive in these corridors. And actually, and there, look, it goes through, there's the hut there, and then it goes around that side. So wherever possible, we keep vegetation. And here's some cows, and I'll tell you about cows in a second. But we you know, wherever possible, we're trying to preserve the natural environment and not increase pressure on it. It basically means that species can survive and they can thrive in this place. So that's one way, sort of land and how you're impacting the environment. I think this restores what was here was just sort of scrub land, nothing here. There's lots of new plants and animals, and with monkeys in there, which is very exciting. So yeah, we do our best in that sense. So it's appropriate that the cows have just come up. There's growing recognition of the impact of eating beef, and I think it's a complicated subject, to be honest, because they produce a lot of methane and they consume a lot of food to get a kilogram of meat. Yeah, so in terms of efficiencies, especially if you're going to feed them soya or something like that, then it's quite tricky in terms of the impact it has on the environment. Cows like this are free grazing, so they're eating grass, and the point is that most animals can't consume and produce anything out of grass. Sheep and goats are the other animals that we eat. So if you're looking for good quality protein, cows eating grass, something that, you know, we can't eat grass, so it's converting it into food for us. But they need a lot of it, and it's about 20 kilograms of grass to produce 1 kilogram of beef, which is quite inefficient. Fish, on the other hand, these fish, our FCR it's called FCR, isn't great at the moment, but you know, on a fish farm you're looking for 1.8, so what that means is 1.8 kilograms of feed gives you 1 kilogram of fish. That's pretty efficient, right? And actually fish are the most efficient of all the animals, better than pigs, better than chickens in terms of protein. And fish protein is really good. It's very good quality for you. Doesn't get, it's got the right types of fats. It's good for your brain, etc., etc. So that helps us with the food security part of our ambition. So fish it's very efficient in terms of turning into protein, what it requires. And then the other point is that we're actually not. So yes, we may need, say, 2 kilograms of food to produce 1 kilogram of fish, but actually, because we're doing sort of not intensive but semi-intensive, we're using maggots, which are using waste. So that's a big part of the kilograms going in. We're fertilising the pond, which is using manure and growing plants. We're actually very efficient. So like our environmental impact in terms of fish is really low. I did some work with, I think, Aqua and Richard, looking at life cycle assessments, it's called, in the food industry, and we looked at fish, but we generally focused on feeding them pellets, but in this we're not really using that many pellets. So yeah, I think our environmental credentials, if you were to measure them, are pretty good, and I hope that it means that we can keep conserving some of the wetland. I'm just going to go and have a look at the wetland and take you with me. So right down next to the farm, just the ponds are there, and this is it, and this is exactly the sort of land it looked like before we dug the ponds. So you can see it's essentially grass, and as you get closer and closer to the papyrus, which is the mark of the wetlands, you can see there's sort of a drop off, and this, if you're farming on this part, then it means animals are going into here. Perhaps you're planting I can't see the eucalyptus because we do try to make sure there isn't any wild species just sort of sprung, but people will plant here. It dries the wetland out. And then looking towards the ponds, this is sort of scrubby land, which has become much scrubbier and its own habitat, and that's the type of stuff. I mean, this isn't as good quality as the stuff we've got fenced, because this does get looked at. People come and do stuff with it, but you can see the you know, the impact of farming in the way that we are doing, and then we encourage our farmers to do the same. Like, so you don't have to chop everything down. Keep some around your periphery. It's good for a bunch of different reasons from a fish farming point of view. And then this is the wetland that I'm just about to walk into. And this is the wetland. Like, once you're in here, it's just very dense. You can see like it's soggy underfoot. And actually, as you go deeper, you get like channels. I've walked through this actually before. It's quite hard. It's very hard going because it's so dense. But I mean, it's very beautiful. You get the papyrus, but there's lots of species in here, and you get like little streams that flow through the middle of it, and then you sort of get the transition through. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I think it's. I mean, I love spending time. I sometimes come and just chill out, go and have a little wander in the wetland because it's so beautiful, and the edges. It's nice and shady and cool. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do keep watching, and subscribe if you're able to, because that really helps the channel to grow. But I think you'll appreciate why we've got these 3 pillars that we're trying to do, and the environmental impact that we're having. I think we're restoring as much as we can. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Look where we are. We're back at the chicken place. I recognise it. You can pop your view at the chicken farm, and this is the hard work from Gatsby Africa. So this tricycle which they funded for us. Thank you very much. It allows us to take. We've got 12 bags here of about 50 kilos here. So that's pretty good going, I think. So that's 600 kilograms or thereabouts, maybe just under loaded, and we'll use this to feed our BSF and then also to fertilise our ponds, because we know that green water pond systems is what we're after. So I quite like this system. Andrew there he's got, I'll to show you, he's got a number of staff from the chicken here, and then Andrew's got you can see our logo. So I love it. We're going to try and get some more overalls. They look pretty cool, and they'll be on their way shortly. So very good, very exciting to see this. I don't know if I'm going to get a go on the machine, on the 3-wheeler. Not that I can ride it or anything, but it might be fun. We'll see. So we just stuck it in reverse because of the blocks we put into the wheels, and off it goes. So a bit of an update. This is the 600 kilo is going to go to the farm because they were saying that it's a bit wet, so it'll do well in the ponds, and then they'll come back and get some slightly drier stuff for the BSF. So yeah. I think Titus is still getting used to just stalled. There we go. It's a bit wet. Once he gets going, I'll be alright. And off it goes. Happy days. There'll be some happy fish once they get once that turns into fertiliser. So it'll be very good. So very pleased to see that progress. And then of course, like I said, the rest will go to feed the black soldier fly, which they'll eat that, turn it into good fertiliser, and then we'll feed the maggots to the fish. You get your full cycle going on, so it's really good to see that.